Thank you very much to the Cicero singers, and that was just a taste. So you can just imagine what the next few days are going to be like. If you would like a translation, simply the first song says, "Thank God there is no other place as beautiful as this place. It is a paradise." That's in summary. And our next speaker can probably translate a bit more for you. But at least you have an idea what the Cicero singers sang. Thank you very much to the Cicero singers for this rendition. At this time, we would like to invite our champion for climate resilience in Dominica and in the Caribbean, Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, to deliver the feature address.
Thank you. Well, my manager called me to say that the OS wanted me to perform at this event. But I was told I could not afford my fees, So next time, But I'm very happy to be here. I want to recognize in our presence Honorable Joseph Isaac, the Speaker of our House of Assembly, Honorable Dr. Vince Henderson, Minister for Planning, Economic Development and Renewable Energy, my other cabinet colleagues, Your Excellency Francine Barron, Chief Executive Officer of CREED, Mrs. Kim Osborne, Executive Secretary for Integral Development, Ms. Corinne Prevost, Acting Secretary to the Cabinet, Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Isaac Solomon, Vice President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Pastor Eddie George, members of the media, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, wonderful to have you here in our country. I want to warmly welcome all of you, particularly those of you who are visiting the nature island of the Caribbean for the first time. From your vantage point, you're surrounded by terrestrial and marine ecosystems, which comprise a significant component of the Carbridge National Park. The Carbridge National Park was established in 1986 as a protected area to preserve the built heritage and the rich ecosystem of flora and fauna that thrive both within the marine and land environment. In Dominica, we have always paid detailed attention to the preservation of our cultural heritage and the natural environment. Long before the issue of climate change came about, Dominica has had a tradition and a history of protecting our environment. As we gather here, preparations are ongoing for the celebration of our 45th anniversary of independence, the highlight of which will be our World Creole Music Festival next weekend. And as my friend Dr. Henderson and of course Francine Barron and others have told you, you are free to extend your stay to partake in these exciting times. Dominica is one of the unique countries where our independence is on the 3rd of November, but we start celebrating from the 1st of September. So we do have months and weeks of celebration. In support of our natural heritage, we have protected and managed our forest and celebrate 60% forest coverage. We maintain 2 major national parks and 2 marine protected areas, which have required a societal approach with strong leadership from the state and local communities. And just for your own edification, one of the marine reserves is located in a fishing village. And we have had very strong community adherence to protecting this marine reserve, which is in itself a paradox. And the fishermen there in the community have respected this marine reserve in the village of Scott's Head. The latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change observed that human-induced climate change, including more frequent and intense extreme climate events, have caused widespread adverse impacts and related losses and damage to the natural environment and people. Dominica has had more than its share with these disastrous climate events. Within the past 7 years, we have had 2 major destructive cyclones: Tropical Storm Erika in 2015 and Hurricane Maria in 2017. Together, these 2 weather systems erased more than 300% of our country's gross domestic product. And it is an amazing story that we can tell as to why we are standing today. In the aftermath of Storm Erika, 9 communities were declared disaster zones, with 2 of these communities requiring immediate evacuation and resettlement. We were still in the process of rebuilding post-Erika when Category 5 Hurricane Maria struck. The lives lost from these 2 weather systems was approximately 100 people. Our beautiful island had suffered from cascading natural disasters. And to compound this, we are still navigating through the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. As a small island developing state with an open economy, we are vulnerable both to the devastation of climate change and the disruption brought about by external shocks. Perhaps conversely, as a result of our small size, we are perhaps best placed to develop an all-of-society approach and devise workable solutions. Confronted by these challenges and their negative consequences, we have expressed a bold vision to build our country as the first climate-resilient nation of the world. And the reality is, my dear friends, is that we do not want people to remember us based on what happened to us, but more so for our response to what happened to us. We have established the policy, the strategic and planning framework to give meaning and life to this vision. We have also established the Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica, CREED, to guide our resilience journey. And much has been achieved, I can tell you, in the 5 years since Hurricane Maria. And I should add, in line with what Dr. Henderson indicated, to deliberate on the various challenges that we face in making our region more resilient, we must bear in mind the issues of citizen resiliency and how we can provide relevant and timely information to them that will help them make decisions to build their own resilience and that of their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, there are substantial issues that must be addressed to make Dominica, and indeed our Caribbean region, more resilient, particularly to the impacts of climate change. I am therefore extremely pleased that these conversations are taking place now. Science and data must drive both our mitigation and adaptation actions. We must act not only on what we know now, but what the science tells us we must prepare for in the future as our planet continues to warm. In Dominica, we have developed a National Resilience Development Strategy and Climate Resilience and Recovery Plan. And one of the key initiatives is to develop a Center of Excellence for Data in Resilience Decision Making. This involves, among other things, the establishment of a dedicated Geographical Information Systems unit within our Ministry of Planning, which will support the institutionalizing of a data-driven approach to all key planning decisions. Given our country's geography and topography, many of our communities are located along hillsides and slopes, in valleys and floodplains, and within the reach of dangerous sea surges. Our vulnerabilities and response capabilities must therefore be properly mapped and frequently updated. I am encouraged to know that one of the topics of discussion at this conference is building resilience with geospatial intelligence. It is of vital importance that we are able to adequately assess our risk and have access to credible and accurate data sources that will inform actions to minimize and mitigate the impacts of disasters and improve our resilience, particularly to extreme weather events. Ultimately, how well we weather and bounce back from extreme events will depend on how prepared we are and having the right data that informs our actions is critical to that process. We recognize also the importance of energy and resilient energy systems to energy security and economic development. Dominica is committed to attaining 100% domestic renewable energy production by 2030. Much of this will be achieved utilizing our significant geothermal reserves, which will serve not only to provide clean energy, but also spur our green industrialization. We're actively considering the production of green hydrogen within our first green industrial eco-park that is being supported by the Green Climate Fund. We experienced significant disruptions to energy supply post-Hurricane Maria, which delayed our recovery. As we build back better and build greater resilience, we are tackling issues of hardening the grid, undergrounding of electrical lines, and battery storage capacity, among others. We hope, my dear friends, that the discussions here today and tomorrow will provide practical outcomes to the challenges that the region faces in its electricity sector from extreme weather events. Ladies and gentlemen, the reality is that climate change is already upon us. In the region, we're already dealing with its impacts. Not only are we seeing stronger, larger, more frequent storms, but more intense droughts, record heat waves, invasive species, among others. The fact that the world's major polluters are not taking sufficient action to halt global warming beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius makes it imperative that we accelerate action and our own efforts towards building resilience. Because the reality is, if we wait for them to take action, we will all be dead in these small islands. And therefore, we have to take action by ourselves to build greater resilience. That's the bottom line. And next month, leaders will meet in Egypt for yet another COP. This one is called COP27. To discuss all of these issues. We hope that the data that is continuously being generated will provide the impetus to countries to significantly cut the emissions. We in the Caribbean are doing our part, but our contribution to global warming is negligible compared to the corresponding impact on us. In the real world, you would take these people to court and they would compensate you. I hope we don't have to get to that point. I hope, my dear friends, that the recommendations that will come forth from your discussions over these 2 days will provide valuable insight and a pathway for ensuring that the actions that we take to build our collective resilience in the region is informed by the best science available. Consistent with the resilience building agenda of the Commonwealth of Dominica, I fully commit myself personally and my personal support and that of the Government of Dominica for the implementation of the outcomes of this conference. I am mindful that it has benefited from the input of expertise from national, regional, and international agencies. We will intercede where necessary and required with intergovernmental organizations and international financial institutions to mobilize support for this initiative. Permit me also to say this. It is my firm opinion that Caribbean governments should be doing a lot more to learn from each other. I believe this is among the key deficiencies that separate us from other regional blocs like Asia and the Pacific. Dominica is fully prepared to share the lessons and experiences from its efforts at becoming the first climate resilient nation in the world. It is our firm desire to see the Caribbean become the first climate resilient region in the world. And so, I am putting a challenge to our regional organizations like CARICOM, the OECS, CANARI, CIMH, CDIMA, the 5Cs, and others like the OAS and NOAA to set up a climate resilient action learning program around the activities of our CREED here in Dominica. And I can tell you, so serious I am about this, that I intend to table resolutions on this, first in my cabinet, and then our parliament, and thereafter in the OECS and CARICOM, because I believe we must learn together or we will stagnate apart. The reality of to have this discussion in Dominica. I wish you a successful conference and trust that you will continue to enjoy your stay here in our beautiful nature island. I thank you for journeying here in Dominica and for being part of this very noble engagement. What you're doing here, I will say to you, my dear participants, is extremely important and urgent. We all need this in this hemisphere. We all need this in this world, particularly those of us who are suffering from the impacts of climate change. And I wish you all the best. May God bless our efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Prime Minister, who has clearly articulated some of our climate resilience initiatives in Dominica and our targets, and of course has also articulated his vision to extend some of these programs through the region. We are certain that under your leadership, we will achieve these goals that we have set for 2030 and beyond. At this time, as we wrap up this segment of the conference, of the opening ceremony, I would like to just take this opportunity to thank a few persons who have made today possible. Of course, the OAS, Organization of American States, for spearheading this conference in partnership with the Inter-American Institute for Global Change Research, Amazon Web Services, and CREED. These have been our main partners for this conference. We want to thank Ms. Kim Osborne for leading the charge with her team at CREED, and no coincidence, her friend Honorable Barron, also for leading the team at CREED, and of course all of your staff and your entire team at CREED for organizing and working on this conference. We also want to thank in a special way the staff of the Office of the Prime Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and Ms. Dion Durham, our Press Secretary, who I know has worked very hard in putting some of these arrangements together. We want to thank, of course, the management and staff of the Kempinski Hotel who have hosted you. Of course, this, I'm sure for you, has been a wonderful stay at the Kempinski Hotel. We would like to thank, of course, for today, our speakers, led by the Honorable Prime Minister for addressing us this evening, Honorable Francine Barron, Dr. Vince Henderson, Ms. Kim Osborne, and Mr. Isaac Solomon of the CDB for their remarks this evening at the opening ceremony conference. We want to thank as well the media, who I see you are here in full force this evening. We thank you very much for spreading the message of climate resilience in Dominica. And of course, we would like to thank those who have joined us virtually via Zoom and via our various social media platforms. But of course, I would like to thank very much those of you who have joined us in person in Dominica and at the Kempinski Hotel. We want to thank, of course, all of our invited guests and all the participants of this opening ceremony this evening. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here. I would just like to inform you that we will be having a few cocktails on our left in the lounge area, so you are invited to join us at the lounge for cocktails. Just one announcement, I do have some keys that were left in the conference area, so if you are missing your keys and unable to get to your vehicle, please contact me at the end of this evening. But most of you are staying here at the Kempinski, so you don't need any keys. Thank you very much to everyone and have a pleasant evening.